Alright guys, here's the result at 50 yards, open sights, just kind of shooting, not really trying a whole lot. Definitely a firearm that's on. No questions about that. Nice little plinker. Hey everyone, IntoWeapons back again with you. Got another rifle to share here with you. This is another one of my grandfather's rifles that he's letting me use just to kind of shoot and disassemble and clean for him. What it is a Savage Model 29, not a Savage Model 29A, which most people are familiar with. This is just the Model 29. It does have a serial number on it, 124375, and it has an L after it. And what the L signifies is that it's not a house brand model, that this was actually one that was made by Savage, has the Savage name on it, and isn't another type of house brand model, which is like a Stevens or some other, like a Sears Roebuck and Company type of gun, that kind of thing. If you would have like a K or something after your serial number, that would be kind of a designation that it is a house brand type gun. So this is really an original type Savage Model 29. It is pre-World War II, as you can tell. It does have an octagon type barrel, and we'll do a close-up on it. And it also has checkering on the foregrip and the stock, which is more common with the pre-World War II guns as well. I don't have the exact date on it. It's pretty difficult to find the exact dates of these guns listed anywhere or the research on them. There's really little information out there, and I think hopefully this video will help a lot of you identify your rifle, as well as hopefully assist you with the disassembly of it, because I really wasn't able to find anything out there. What I'm going off of with disassembly is just kind of going off the schematics and breaking it apart and trial and error type thing. I'm not really getting into the disassembly of the firing pin mechanism or the bolt carrier type situation, or the trigger group assembly. Mainly because it's an older gun. It's hard to find these parts and pieces for this gun, and if I mess something up, I'm really going to be in a world of hurt. It's not my gun, so I certainly don't want to do that. So I'm going to break it down just to the parts of where you can get it down to where it's good enough to get it cleaned, and ultimately you really don't even need to do the disassembly. A lot of people just go ahead and clean it from the muzzle end in and leave all the internals as is. And to tell you the truth, being a 70 or 80-year-old gun, after I did break it down the first time, it is in pretty good condition. There isn't a lot of stuff inside of it, so it's not a gun that really gets a lot of dirt into it, even after 80 years of being used. So it is a pretty neat little gun, though. It's 22 long rifle. It does have a tubular type magazine on the bottom of the barrel that, as far as I understand, holds 12 rounds. It's as many as I could get in there. I could be wrong on that, though. The other neat feature of this gun is that it's a pump action 22. You don't see a whole lot of those out there, and ultimately I didn't think I would like it, but when you get it out to the range, this is a really fun gun to shoot with. The accuracy is excellent, and the pump action is just something about that pump action that just makes these guns fun to shoot. So what we'll do is I'll give a close-up video of the gun itself and some of the markings and features of the rifle, and then what we'll do is we'll go into a disassembly. Alright guys, so it does have a real nice wood stock on it. It does have that checkering pattern carved into it. You can tell that it's a real nice coat on it, though. It's held up after so many years. You can see that there's not a lot of blemishes on it. The original sheen is still on it, and I'm sure it hasn't been taken care of like they're supposed to be. So ultimately it was a well-built gun. It does have a safety here, as you can see, on the trigger assembly. And one side of it is painted red. I believe it's the other side to tell you that it's ready to fire. You do have the takedown button here, which most people are familiar with. There are other manufacturers out there. I believe Winchester makes this particular type of rifle as well, and they're all pretty similar. And then if you can get a nice view there is the Savage Model 29 that's stamped on there, which is important because otherwise it's difficult to tell what particular model you have. Like I said, there is 29As out there, and I believe 29B as well. And then stamped here we have 22 short, long, or long rifle, which is kind of cool, being that it is this tubular magazine along the bottom here, which holds the rounds in there. To be able to be as versatile as that and have that capability is pretty cool. And then along the top here, if I can get us a little bit better light maybe, it does say Savage Arms Corporation. Alright, so flipped over here guys, pretty standard on the other side, not much difference except for the fact that you do have your area here where the mechanism to feed the next round with this pump action is, as well as the ejection port for your round. It's just very similar to a pump action shotgun, the way that it works. It does have a lever or a pump release here, so you do need to push this upwards before you're able to actually pump the gun and chamber a round. You only need to do that on the first shot to get it in there. Otherwise, it does allow you to just keep pumping after each shot. And then again, it's painted red on that side for the safety. Alright guys, just wanted to show you here real quick. This is where you'll actually locate the serial number of your firearm. It's on the bottom part of the receiver here in the front. There is a couple other spots that you can find the serial number for this gun. There should be one also on the inside bottom trigger guard where you're not able to see it right now. And then there's also one on the inside upper buttstock plate, which is back here. When we take this off, it's actually on the stock. So if I remember, I'll try to pull those out and show you those as well. Alright everyone, to disassemble this gun, what we're going to do is start on the bottom side here. This is has kind of a guide rod piston type feed tube on the bottom. And you can actually take out the guide rod itself. And the guide rod, you normally stick the shells right in here and slide them down, then push this in. And then this is spring loaded all up in here, so it kind of guides the shells. Probably one of the reasons that it's able to handle the 22 long rifle, short, and the long, which I don't know if a lot of people use anymore. At that point then, on the right hand or the left hand side of the gun, you'll have your takedown lever, which a lot of people are familiar with, so you can go ahead and unscrew that. Once you unscrew that, it won't come fully out, so you don't want to try to force it out or unscrew it anymore. Once you do that, the whole part of this gun will actually break into two. Kind of a takedown type system. Once you have that, what you can do is remove the inner part of the, and I'll see if I can zoom in here a little bit so you can see this. You can remove the inner part here of the feeding mechanism and firing block. If you move it all the way to the rearward position like that with your pump, you can actually lift this into the 90-degree position, so kind of towards up towards you, and then up and off. And it's actually being held in here by a little tab, and this tab correlates with this piece right here. So when you put it back in, kind of the same operation. You have to go in 90 degrees and then turn it, and then now it will slide with that whole sliding operation. So again, we'll take it up and out, and we'll set that aside. I don't really break this down a whole lot more. If it was broken, maybe you could, or if it was extremely dirty, I guess you could, but otherwise I'm just going to plan on using some breakaway in here, really flushing it out good, trying to get a lot of the fouling off it, and then I'll go ahead and use some oil afterwards to get all that breakaway off there and oil the parts nicely. At that point then, the inner part of your receiver here is pretty much empty. So what I'll do is I'll zoom back out here and we'll kind of continue on. At this point I'm just going to kind of set that aside for right now. We're going to move over into the other side here just to kind of give you a quick look. As you can see, you have most of your trigger assembly here. This is one unit and it's attached to the rear part of the stock. In order to get that off, what you're going to need to do is use a screwdriver here on the back, and we're going to remove these screws to remove the butt plate. Once you got the butt plate off, and it is just a plastic butt plate, so it's nothing fancy. You do have the serial number again here on the back of the stock, so they punched it in there. But down this hole there is a larger screw. It is a large flathead screw. I'd say it's probably a quarter inch, half inch maybe wide. So this is what I actually needed the long screwdriver for. I had to go pick one of these up because none of my screwdrivers in my set were able to reach in here. So something to keep in mind if you're going to try to break this thing apart. Make sure you have the right tools there. But otherwise, just breaking that off and kind of unscrewing it a bit. You don't have to unscrew it all the way. What I found is that it will actually disengage itself from the two pieces there without having to unscrew both, or all the way I should say. So if you look down in here, that screw is still protruding here. I don't know if you're able to see that, so you don't have to remove it all the way. Like I said, it's not loose in there. After that, then you have the trigger assembly, and that's as far as I'm going to break this down as well. I'm not going to try to break anything and trying to get into this further, but it looks pretty simple. I imagine you could probably take a couple screws out here, maybe a couple pins, and break this all down. One thing also to make mention here, and I'll try to zoom in again so you can see this, is there is the serial number punched into the bottom of this plate here for the trigger assembly. So I think there's only 3 spots in this gun where you actually find the serial numbers. So we're going to set that aside. At that point then I don't need my large screwdriver anymore. I can put that aside as well. We're going to try to work on this piece here, trying to get this all off. And this takedown lever will be kind of loose in here. If you want to go ahead and just screw that back into position, that might help you out a little bit more. There also is the piece right here that allows you to operate the pump the first time, and that's held in by a screw. I did not take that out as well. I didn't feel that was necessary. So starting kind of towards the front of the gun here, what you have is something that it's kind of like a bracket of some sort that holds this tube system in here. You do need to unpunch that or punch that out of the gun, and what I've kind of used, I found mine was fairly easy to get out. I didn't actually need to use a punch, which was good, but I used a rubber mallet, and just real gently I kind of tapped it out. And I'm sure this isn't the best way to do it, being that it's a 70-year-old gun, but again, being that nice thick octagon barrel and this thing not being as tight as I was originally anticipating it to, this came out pretty easily and didn't do any damage to it, so I didn't have any issues with doing it that way. What I'm also going to do is remove the 2 screws, one on the left hand and one on the right hand side of the stock. This fore end. And there is a lock washer on this particular area, or on this screw here, so make sure you don't lose the lock washer. This particular lock washer actually broke in 2. I'm going to have to replace that before I put this gun back together. And then just make note to be careful not to scratch your wood as you're doing this. And I'm setting those aside so I don't lose that. Once you have that done, there is also a screw inside this feed tube here, and I probably should have done this first. It would have made this a lot looser on the end here. I'm probably bending this a lot more than I should have to. But you can remove that screw on the inner tube, and this is where that smaller screwdriver comes into play. I wasn't able to get my regular screwdrivers down into there. The width of it was just too much. Once you remove that, and this one does take a little bit of coming to get it out. It's a little bit longer than what you'd originally think it would be. There we go. Once you have it out, it should completely come out. And you'll also have a little coupling thing type here that goes between the barrel and that feed tube, which kind of holds everything together, and the screw goes through the feed tube and then through this coupler at the same time. So I want to set those aside with my screws as well. Again, probably should have done that first before I knocked out this bracket here. But the bracket now at this point is, as you can see, this feed tube is pretty loose. I can actually remove the bracket from the front of the gun completely off. Not that that's absolutely necessary, but at that point then what I'm going to do is move my pump to the forward position, and then this pump will actually slide completely off, and most likely it will take your feed tube with it, but the feed tube you can slide out of your fore end as well. And actually make sure that you're taking out the forward way, because there is that area here where that screw goes through, and it won't actually go through the fore end, so you'll do some damage there. So once you got your feed tube completely out, you can set that aside. Then you have just your fore end piece of wood, and at that point then you have your barrel completely removed from everything else. The barrel I don't believe comes off the receiver as far as I understand, but you do have this pump action system here, and the way that you want to do this is very carefully, I should say. Make sure that you take it up and then outwards like that, and there is a ball bearing right here. I'm going to try to zoom in here so you guys can see that. It is pretty important. Right there is a ball bearing. You don't want to lose that ball bearing. You can actually just tip it over and take it right out. It's the size of a BB. I'd say it's probably the size of a normal BB. So I'm just going to set that aside, and we'll zoom back out here. Once you get that off, to put this back in, it's pretty much the same thing, but you do need to operate your slide lock here in order for it to sit right back in the gun. So when you take it out and you try to put it back in, it won't work, it won't set back down in there until you press this slide release button back up, which is something to note. Otherwise you'll be wondering why that isn't going back in correctly. But otherwise it just comes out like that. You can set that aside, and now you're pretty much completely disassembled, guys. There isn't, like I said, a whole lot more that I do with this gun. You can clean it up real nicely from this port, so that's as far as I take it. Hope this helps you guys out. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, as always, thanks for watching, and take it easy.